Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Armin, you're watching Monomoto. Today we're gonna weigh this 2022 S1000 RR. To make weighing fair, you always wanna have full fuel because else the fuel will skew the weight always. So first step, we're gonna fuel her up and then we're gonna use scales to weigh her. Step one, let's put fuel in it. I have this new Terra pump and I got finally an adapter that fits onto this VP race fuel can. Now it's not a perfect fit, and there's no O-ring on the top. That means if you would transport it with the pump on, that probably would cause a problem because it will leak. So only use it for pumping. And so you put this part into the bike and then turn the pump on and we are good to go. Awesome, I have fuel coming through. Gotta watch it closely. And makes fueling this easy. So for storage, just remove this one, put this cap on, and you're good. Now that the bike is full with fuel, right, like fluid-wise, usually a bike doesn't change a lot of weight. Only thing that goes up and down a lot is fuel. So fuel is checked, oil, water, etc. doesn't change a lot, so we don't need to worry about that. So make sure always fill it up to the same amount before you weigh your bike. Now we need scales. Now in a previous video, I got one of these I was trying to be smart. Put the bike on one of my race stands, lower the other tire on this one, get a tire that I just weighted onto a race stand, lower it on the other tire and get that weight and sum up the two numbers of measuring the front and the back, and voila, we should have the full weight of the bike. However, as like putting it right now into the screen down here, one of the viewers noted out that the point where actually you are holding or suspending the bike with a race stand creates a pivot point. And just like when like you try to lift something with a long or short lever, the leverage is different. So the point makes a big difference. So to give it a quick try, I put the bike on the front race stand, weighed the rear, and then moved the front a little bit back and forth. And the difference was huge. It was around 5 kilos of I measured back then 193 kilo bike. So this is like a 5-6% change, which is quite significant. So one scale, unless you get the pivot points exactly right and apply some math, is not good enough. Yes, you could do it with one scale, but it's a bit of effort. So today I'm going to see if I can do it with 2 scales, but first we're going to do a measurement with 3 scales, right? Like if we have the front tire, the rear tire, and the kickstand on a scale, we just sum up the 3 weights. But then I'm going to try if we can get away with just using 2 scales and then slightly holding the bike or putting it against the wall so it doesn't fall over. So let's do a measurement with 3 and then compare it with a measurement of just the 2 and holding the bike ever so slightly, if there's a big difference or not. Let's get going. So I put an industrial scale under the front tire, but you can see it's on the race stand. And this is what I mentioned was the pivot point. If I just move this a little bit backwards onto the fork leg, the weight was completely different. So we're gonna lower the front tire and we're gonna lower the rear tire. And then as a third one, I just have a normal scale from my home to see how much weight will be on this protected with styrofoam kickstand, to just like summarize the 3 weights. And hopefully I don't scratch the glass scale. That's my hope with the styrofoam. So I will put it down very softly. All right, I'm gonna turn on the scales and then lower one tire at a time and be right back. Front tire is down. Let's turn this on so I can get the weight right. And now it's gonna be a little bit more tricky because the bike is rolling on the front. Definitely, if you have somebody around, maybe get some help to help hold the bike. And now we want to set it gently down onto the block. Okay. £112.9 plus 81.3 plus 69.25. Welcome back. So I added up the weights of the three scales. So I know one was in pounds, the other one in kilograms, so I converted it. And the total weight was 201.8 kilograms. Let me double check. 201.81 kilograms total, measured with three scales. Now we're going to do it with two scales and lean the bike ever so gently against the wall. So yes, there will be a tiny bit of pressure against the wall, but let's see how close can we get to the 201.8 kilograms. Let's see. Here we go. First scale on, second scale on. Good, now I have to lower them and hold the bike and hold it gently against the wall. Let's see if we can do that without dropping the bike. But there's a wall, so ideally do it against the wall and have the kickstand down, so not too much should be able to happen. Of course the bike can roll, so be careful, do this slowly. Now these race guards come in handy. It ever so slightly rolled, so that's not good. Okay, put her in gear, so that should stop the rolling. Good. Now we have a steady. At the front, 104.25. At the rear, 96.25. So that's not too hard to do in your head. So that is 200.5 kilograms. So up to 300 grams, it's accurate. So I guess 300 grams of pressure are against the wall. So with two scales, you get very, very close to it. But of course, right here, the bike resting against the wall, you need to make sure that this pressure is even every time you want to measure. So with two scales, it's possible. You get within like a very small margin of accuracy, but keep in mind that it's not perfect. But I think for the overall project here, to see how much weight we can take off the bike, I'm going to continue like this. Just lean it against the wall with two scales. Also, you could have somebody hold the bike, which is definitely more secure. But yeah, there you have it. Two scales and gently hold the bike and you have a pretty accurate weight. It's off by a smidge, but you can also see just like now the counter flipped over a little bit. So the scales have a little bit of inaccuracy, of course, built in. So up to 0.3 of a kilogram, that is pretty good. Happy with that? So the bike is definitely 200 kilograms and a little bit. Sorry, quick correction, of course. It is like 1.3 kilos off. So that is a reasonable amount. Right, so in summary, get three scales, put all the contact points, front tire, rear tire, and kickstand on a scale, and summarize the weight, and you should have a pretty accurate overall weight. If you're in a pinch with two scales and holding it or leaning it slightly against the wall, especially when you hold it with the fingers, you can notice how little effort you exercise to hold the bike, so you can get pretty close to it. So probably for my purposes, I will use the two scale method going forward and holding the bike, and once I feel like I have very, very, very light pressure on the bars, just do a sound, and then you can check on the video recording of exactly what weight the scales were showing at that point when you felt like the pressure was the lightest. So gonna use that, but the bike is roughly 201 kilograms. So in the next couple of videos, you will see us reducing some of the weight. The M1000 has a claimed weight of 193 kilograms or something about that. So we have about 8 kilograms to go to make this bike lighter than an M1000, and I think we can get there. A couple of things are on the way. We're gonna get a full titanium race exhaust, and we're gonna also remove a charcoal canister, and we do a couple of other swaps. And of course, we bolted on a couple of things like these protectors, guards, and other things. So we didn't remove too much of the weight yet and added a lot of goodies. So in the next couple of videos, we're gonna focus on trimming some fat on this very, very fun lady, so she becomes track worthy. Hope you will join for that. Please subscribe to get updates, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye for now.